Thank you guys once again for joining me for Testimony Tuesday. This is Blessing Over Sui. I'm the content creator for Farfromacurse. And here we have
Christopher Williams. How y'all doing?
Okay, so thank you for joining Testimony Tuesday, Chris. Sorry, guys. So can you please let the audience and the viewers know why you're joining us for Testimony Tuesday?
Absolutely. So the reason why I'm here with you all today is to let you know about my journey, as well as to see where I have gone and where I've came from and to where I am now here after the brain surgery.
Okay. So go ahead and give the readers and the viewers 3 interesting facts about you.
So 3 interesting facts about myself. As of right now, I am an OKC fan, although they didn't do that great this year, but that's just the team who I love. As well as I also do love to travel. Right now, I live in the Philadelphia area, so of course you have to come try our cheesesteaks. As well as, of course, me being a country boy, it's a little different. So not only that, but I also love to invest in real estate property. Real estate property that obviously is a way for individuals to have homes, but as well as a passive income for yourself.
Okay, so we know that you're here to talk about, the brain surgery. So can you describe your everyday life before the brain tumor?
So my everyday life before the brain tumor was discovered it was just a normal everyday life. I played, ball, I played football, I wrestled in high school. I didn't have any issues with anything. I ran and played outside, and that was it. I was just a regular guy.
So can you describe what an epilepsy is for the audience before we go into the interview?
So an epilepsy is basically a form of surgery, as a form of a seizure. The thing is, with it being a seizure, is that there's multi-channels of neurons within your mind, but within your brain, of course, that are blocking its movement. So that's what helps develop an actual seizure, which is not a good feeling, but it's not the same as if a person were to get on the ground as if shaking abruptly. It's just, of course, the fact that an individual can actually just space out in the zone and do not know what's going on. It's a form of, you can have amnesia with that as well.
So what caused your first epilepsy? And where were you?
So as my first epilepsy, from what I remember back then, I was approximately 10, 11, 12 years old. At that time, I just moved off of Fort Benning, and I moved into actually Columbus. And I just remember playing outside one day, and it just out of random, I just started feeling very nauseous, and I started feeling very dizzy. I don't know why exactly that occurred, but of course, as a youngin', didn't really, of course, think of anything of it, because it's like, okay, well, maybe it's just how I feel, and a lot of times as kids, we don't really say anything because we're hard-headed.
So when was the first time you experienced epilepsy around another person when in your adult years?
So my first time was when I was 22. I had an acquaintance. We ended up meeting one time and, of course, working out. And as I was working out, the acquaintance witnessed what actually occurred with the epilepsy. And then she told me to go seek help.
So whenever you do have the epilepsy, do you remember anything?
No, I do not remember anything. When the epilepsy occurs for myself, I always just, I end up having amnesia with it. So I never remember anything. We could just have a conversation about anything. And as soon as the epilepsy starts and then it ends, I completely forget what we were just talking about. And even if you were to remind me what I was going to say, I just forget. I will not remember at all.
Wow. So you mentioned you were working out. Did it only happen when you worked out, or did it happen during everyday activities?
Majority of the time, it would only happen when I would work out. But there was a time, of course, I do recall, where I was just random. Of course, I was just sleeping at my mother's house, and I just happened to wake up one day. And when I woke up, it just started out of nowhere. That was the only time that has actually occurred with me just waking up. But majority of the time, whenever it comes to me working out, is when it would actually start.
Wow. So at this time, whenever you were going through all of these different episodes, did you not see a physician, or did you see a physician? And when was the first time you saw a physician? So
I never saw a physician because us men, truthfully speaking, we are hard-headed. We don't go to the doctor for anything, especially when we know something is wrong with us. The first time I actually saw a physician was when I was 22. That was back in 2013. I ended up going to see a neurologist, and he ended up subscribing me with medicine and performing spinal taps. Don't get that done. Don't recommend it. But just he focused on different procedures to see what was actually wrong with me. That's how it all started.
Okay, so you said don't get a spinal tap done. What's a spinal tap?
So a spinal tap is basically where they take a needle and they take you sit up, of course, such as this, and then they put a needle in your spinal cord, and they actually take the spinal fluid from your spine, and they say that of course you can feel better within a day, but for myself, I had a horrible time actually regaining strength. I literally could not go back to work the rest of that week because I just had like numerous headaches. When it comes to spinal fluid, you cannot sit up. If you sit up, you're going to get a feeling to where you have to lay down. If you do not lay down, you're going to feel excruciating pain in your brain, of course, and around that area. That's what it was for me. So
just to make it clear for the audience, the spinal tap and this epilepsy, were they mutually exclusive, or was that the reason for it, or that's like a whole different issue? Well,
the spinal tap was to help to see about possibly diagnosing what was actually going on with me, of why I was having epilepsy. So it was just a procedure to try and help and diagnose me, but that didn't diagnose me with anything.
So while you had epilepsy, did you have any, not while you had it, but so during this time before you got diagnosed, did you ever have like headaches or anything?
No. Never had headaches.
So you were like perfectly fine?
Perfectly fine, as if nothing happened. I was just a regular everyday kid, teenager as well. And even into my adulthood, same thing. I was just a regular everyday guy who just worked out, slept, ate, the same whole 9 yards.
Does brain tumors run in your family?
According to my family, no. Brain tumors do not run in my family. This is the first one from what they discussed with me that they've actually ever heard of. Granted, as what I discovered as well, is that brain tumors are pretty common, especially the type that I had as well. So it's pretty common in today's world. I never knew.
So did the doctor state the possible cause of the brain tumor?
So a lot of things that they told me, or asked me anyway, they did ask me numerous times, have I hit my head on anything? Have I gotten a car accident, anything of that nature. Of course, I've told them I've gotten into a car accident. As a kid, I've hit my head. Even as an adult, I've hit my head. But as well as
an adult?
even as an adult, I hit my head. But for what they said, anything can trigger it. The smallest touch on your head can trigger it. That's just the way it is. From what I was explained.
I'm scared. I'm scared. I feel like I'm talking to Google. Like, do you guys know whenever, you're feeling sick or something, and then you try to figure it out on Google, and they tell you you're dying?
Exactly right.
Google's sitting next to me right now. I'm scared. Okay, so what was your reaction when the doctor told you the findings for your first visit?
So the findings for my first visit. This is going to the John B. Amos Cancer Center in Columbus. The doctor there, he ended up discovering it on January 2nd of 2015, and he called me and told me to come in. So when he called me and told me to come in, of course, he told me it was a tumor. That's the only thing he could tell me at that point. He wasn't sure exactly what type, but he just said there is a tumor in there. And so I will recommend you to another doctor to see about getting this fixed. So that's doctor number 2 right there that I actually went to visit. So
what were your thoughts at the time when you got this news?
At the time, I actually, and it may sound weird, but I actually laughed. No, seriously. And the reason, well, it wasn't like a super joking laugh, but I laughed because, of course, as the new year just started, and as they say, new year, new me. So it's like, okay, well, new year, guess what? New you, for the brain tumor that you're finding out. There's something that you would see, of course, like in movies and for horror films or something like that would happen on the second day. So second day of the year anyway.
So did any other major events occur during this time between you finding out about the brain tumor and then your surgery day?
The only major thing that happened during that time only thing is I know I had to go to training, of course, overseas at the time, but as far as anything else, nothing major happened from the time I discovered that, as well as from me having the surgery.
Okay, so with your tumor, can you describe to the audience what type of tumor it was and where was it located?
So the type of tumor it was a benign tumor, which means it's non-cancerous. So yeah, malignant, which is cancerous, benign is not. So benign typically is a slow-growing tumor, as well as the tumor is called the DNET. It's a very long name that I'm not going to try to pronounce, but it's a very common tumor. I didn't realize that, but it was also located 2 inches behind my left eye as well. And so, as I tell everybody, please make sure you get yourself checked out. Do not hold yourself at home at all. You never know.
So, how did your friends and family take the news when you told them?
So, my parents, they didn't show me any emotion, but I was aware, of course, that emotion was displayed within their own, their own sector. Just for them to actually knowing that, of course, their only son, which is who I am, has a tumor, and they're not sure where it came from or what is being done about it. I know friends and family definitely have supported me, definitely have came to visit me while I was in the hospital. They would, of course, ask if I need anything. Even to this day, I still have individuals ask me to see how I'm doing, even in the Columbus area, even though I've moved away now. They still, just to check on me, just to see how it is. I mean, you never know from what the doctor said anyway, is that it could grow back. The tumor could grow back, period. But as of right now, there hasn't been any signs of it growing back.
Well, do you guys see how calm he is right now? I mean, like, seriously, you said that when the doctor told you on the second day of the year, you laughed.
I did.
And you're so calm. So what exactly do you do when bad things happen? Like, is this just your normal nature, or is this how you just hold things in?
So with me, it's a normal nature. I know a lot of times, and I'll give you an example. The last time I really showed real emotion was when my grandmother passed back in 2005. That was, of course, a very hurtful moment. I'm not sure if that actually controlled my feelings to where nothing as bad as that could actually happen. So for myself, I guess I felt as if that, okay, well, I'm pretty sure my grandmother wants me to live. So this is something that I actually would do, I would do for her.
So going back to the main topic, did you have any dreams on the day of surgery at all? Did you think about anything?
As far as anything, I was hoping that he would make me know how to sing. That's about it, after the surgery. He could teach me how. But other than that, no, I did not have any dreams or anything.
Okay, so how were the medical physicians? Because it sounds like you had a really good time. Not a good time, but you had a really good set of physicians around. Sometimes people have terrible experiences with doctors. So how were they overall?
They were great. Dr. Olson, I know I still talk to him to this day, of course, since I had to see him once a year for 5 total years. He's very great. He's very comical. Even the anesthesiologist, I know when he, of course, gave me the anesthesia, he was pretty funny as well. While I had to count down to 10 to 0, but he decided to make little jokes right before I fell asleep. That I don't remember, of course. But everyone, they, of course, treated me with respect and make sure that, I was taken care of. I had no issue, no complaints at all for any of the physicians that I helped operated on me.
Well, can you describe the recovery process to the audience?
So, of course, the recovery process for myself, I was there in bed. And for the longest time, of course, I couldn't sit up at first until the doctor obviously came in and he needed me to sit up. He had to do minor rehabilitation just to see, of course, that my function's working, of course, my feet, my knees, my fingers, of course, my eyesight as well. But, of course, after that was done, a few days later, they finally released me. And so for Dr. Olson, he told me for 2 weeks, not to do anything. So no driving, no working out. They did allow me to walk, of course, but that was all I could do. Also, too, there was medicine that I was able to put on the top of my head at the time. And that was really it for my recovery process. That was it.
Wow. So did this situation motivate you to be on top of your health and to make sure you get your physical exam?
Absolutely. So one thing for myself now, I don't care what it is. Like now I go to the doctor because as I stated before, we are hard-headed, and we are hard-headed individuals. We don't think anything can happen to us, but obviously it happened to me. So, I mean, that gave me motivation to, of course, try to help and encourage individuals as well with stuff like that.
So have you had any seizures since your surgery?
No, I have not had any seizures since the surgery. I will say that I've had a feeling of possible nausea, but it didn't last. It literally like came and disappeared at like that split of a second. Wow. Snap of a finger.
Do you ever get sick or anything at all?
No, I do not get sick, not at all.
So how do you attribute this testimony to God coming through for you?
So here's the thing, with God helping me out, period, by actually showing me that I can do anything, he of course helped Dr. Olson as well, guide his hands to show him that, hey, you can save this man's life because you never know who he may be in the future, to as well as help others. And that's what I believe. That's why I was given this chance as well to continue to live life and continue to do different things that occur in my life as well. You know, different special things to help any and everybody.
So where are you now in your career in health?
So as of right now, I'm the training NCO for the engineer company in Reading, Pennsylvania, which is 40 minutes out from Philadelphia. So I'm up there now. As well as health-wise, I currently still do PT. You know, I have no choice but to do PT, but I know this motivates me, of course, because I try to, of course, show soldiers, hey, you know, I don't try to put all my business out there, but a lot of times the soldiers do see my scar on my head and they ask questions, and I tell them this is the reason why I did it, and this is why I'm still continue to push forward. And so, of course, this helps motivate them as well to show them that, hey, PT test is coming. You know that you actually need to complete the PT test properly and do what you got to do just complete it, you know, as well as pass body fat, height, and weight, things of that nature. They look at me as motivation all the time.
That's good.
All the time.
What's your advice to anyone that's going through something similar, maybe a health scare, or if they just are very worrisome about things?
Don't be scared. That's the main thing. Do not be scared. You have to go get it checked out. If you don't get it checked out, then it'll be too late. Why would you want something to happen so late to you when you can get it checked out now? If you want to live, you would do it. That's the main thing. Because I wanted to live after the acquaintance finally told me you need to go.
So, I don't know about you guys, but his demeanor, and even when I had the phone interview with him a couple weeks ago, he was just so calm. And I just really want you to kind of hammer down and explain to the audience what does worry do to you and why don't you worry?
I don't worry because I know I have a purpose. I have a purpose in this life period to give someone a chance besides myself. That's the main thing for me. I want everybody to succeed. And now, why should I worry when, of course, I already know that if it's my time, I'm not going to feel what God is going to place in my life as far as, you know, being hurt a certain way. No, he's going to make sure I'm taken care of regardless. He will.
So this is the last question, but did you have any anchor scriptures that you held on to during this time? If any of you guys actually follow my blog or Instagram, you know that I really make a big deal about anchor scriptures because I believe remembering scriptures in time of crisis is very important. So did you have anything that you held on to?
So from what I remember, it was John 3:10. I believe it was John 3:10. And from what I remember, of course, you know, like I said, and I will be honest, it has been a while since I actually looked at it. But from what I remember at the time, that it was the ability to, of course, show me that I have a purpose in life and that there's nothing for me to worry about. And as well as that it's a given right for you to, of course, be there for individuals no matter what in life.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us for Testimony Tuesday. I'm so glad that you did overcome the health scare. I'm going to call it a health scare. He's Google still. But thank you for just being here and encouraging others. Thank you for encouraging your troops. As you guys know, I'm in the military too, so that means a lot to me as well. I have a lot of soldiers. Make sure you guys pass your PT test. He passed his PT test after the surgery.
Yep.
After the surgery, 7 months. Passed his PT test, and I'm barely trying to make it 16 minutes. So thank you for being here. Thank you for coming in. And
I appreciate it.
We will see you guys for the next Testimony Tuesday next month.
Bye-bye.